Hello? Uh-huh. What? Okay. It's for you. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessie, and today I am doing a tag video. So if you hadn't seen here on YouTube, my friend Elizabeth actually did a tag video where she created all by herself, and I thought the whole concept was genius and it sounds so much fun. And let me just tell you, this was hard. So this was a lot harder than it looks. So if you are interested in doing this video, definitely prepare yourself. So I'm going to link Elizabeth's video down below. I had watched my friend Elena and she had tagged everyone who had wanted to watch it. So I am going to be going off Elena's last book. She left off with A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Wilmingham. This is one of my favorite books I've read this year so far. So since this was Elena's last book, I'm going to start my telephone 10 books from, trying to find something here on the cover. So the first thing I see is obviously the little fireflies, but I don't have anything with fireflies on them, obviously. So I'm going to base this book off the woods in the background. So the woods, the trees, things like that. So I'm going to be transferring this one over to Such a Quiet Place by Megan Miranda. This one has a bunch of trees on it. It has like a top like bird's eye view of this like neighborhood. So this one, Such a Quiet Place by Megan Miranda, I actually really didn't enjoy this one, but it was the best book that I could like segue into a few of these other books. So this one follows a woman who was arrested for the murder of someone in this little, uppity up type of, subdivision. And she was also a roommate to someone else. And so she shows back up because she got released, and everyone in the whole town is like whispering and gossiping because she's came back, and all this other stuff happened. So I personally didn't like it. It was a lot of characters, not my favorite. So when I look at this book, I see the road. So that's where I'm going to take off from here. So going off the road of this one, I'm going to transfer over to Survive the Night, because as you can see, there is a road on there. This one is the newest book from Wryly. I know a lot of people don't particularly like this one for some reason. I really like this one. I gave it 5 stars. I don't think it's his best work, but it's definitely one of my favorites that I like to recommend. This one follows a woman in the 1990s, and she's off at college, and her best friend just happened to have passed away. So she actually carpools with a guy to go back home. Carpooling was very common in the 90s, and so there's this like campus killer going around, and so as she's catching a ride in this guy's car that she doesn't know, she may or may not have put herself in a very dangerous situation. So going off this cover, clearly in the middle you can see a car is on the way. So going off the car on this cover, I'm actually going to segue over to The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James, because obviously there is a car on the very top cover. I actually just read this one and I really enjoyed it. I think it's my favorite Simone St. James book that I've read ever. And so this one, you're following a woman who has a blog of some sort, and she likes to follow a lot of cold cases, and she gets an opportunity of a lifetime to interview a woman who was acquitted from the 1960s, 70s, something like that. So with this interview, she gets to follow this woman and kind of get to know what really happened, because she was acquitted in the 1970s from the murder of 2 or 3 guys. And as she visits the woman's house, things start going a little weird. There's a paranormal aspect to it, which I really am not a fan of, but it worked for me for this one. So yeah, so you try to find out exactly what happened back then. So going on from there, there's clearly a house on the cover. So that is a perfect segue over to Killcreek by Scott Thomas. I don't really talk about this one very often just because I'm not the best at describing or recommending horror books, but this is definitely a horror book. I think I read this one Back in 2019, I believe, and this one was such a fun, wild ride. This one follows a bunch of authors who get an opportunity to stay in this house that is supposedly the most haunted house in America, and they're being broadcast and like weird, crazy things happen. So it's kind of interesting with the whole house aspect being viewed, and then also having all these like famous horror authors in the same house is kind of interesting. How am I going to go from here? As you can tell, there is like creepy red writing on the cover, so I'm going to segue over to The Shining by Stephen King. So this is probably my least favorite Stephen King that I've ever read, just because I don't really get the hype with the book and the movie. I do think the book is a lot better than the movie. That's just my personal preference. If you have been living under a rock and you don't know what The Shining is about a family who gets a job opportunity to like look over this like hotel that basically shuts down for the winter, and basically they are to take care of it, make sure everything's running properly, so that way by the springtime the hotel can reopen, but they are basically snowed in for the winter. So, and then like some creepy stuff happens. It's very classic Stephen King, obviously. So it does have red rum on there, which is very popular in this creepy red writing, so that's where I like, you know, took it. So going from that, there is obviously a door, but specifically there's a light shining through this door. So I'm going to segue over to one of my favorite domestic thrillers, which is Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. So with this one, it's like, it's really hard to like describe this book without giving it away. In this book, you're following a couple named Jack and Grace, and they seem to be the perfect couple, so in love, but again, not everything you see in front of you is what really happens behind closed doors. There is some dark, twisted stuff on here. I absolutely loved it. It has like a past and a present timeline, which I really do like in thrillers. Very, very much like this. So as you can tell from the keyhole, it's kind of hard with the light, but there is a light shining through the keyhole. So obviously I'm going to try to connect this one to the door. So with the door, I am going to compare this one to Lock Every Door by Wryly Sager, another Wryly Sager. So obviously with this one, you have multiple doors. You have someone walking through a doorway. So that's why I am going to connect these two. This one is probably my least favorite Wryly Sager, but I know it's very well loved from other people. The reason why it's my least favorite is, I've said this multiple times, but I was actually spoiled by the ending by someone, and I just did not see the reason to continue reading it, and I thought the whole shocking reveal at the end was kind of dumb. So I DNF'd it, and then I did a whole reread vlog based on this book, and I actually really did enjoy it, even though I knew what the twist was. So I ended up giving this one 4 stars, but I really enjoy it. I could see why people like it. I think it would be one of my favorites if I hadn't been spoiled. This one, I'm kind of like bending the rules just slightly on this one. As you can tell, this is a bright fuchsia pink cover. I love the color of this one. So I'm connecting this pink cover to the pink on this cover. This is The Perfect Child by Lucinda Berry. It's one of my favorite Lucinda Berry books that I own. This one obviously has a bright pink balloon on it. So that's where the connection is. So this one follows a married couple, and they are having the worst time trying to conceive and start a family together. And they're both like working in the same hospital. So the husband is actually a surgeon, and then the wife is just, I believe, an emergency nurse, like an ER nurse. And something happens to where this child is brought in like the worst case of like child abuse ever. So definitely check out trigger warnings before you read this one. I don't recommend this one if like child neglect or abuse is triggering for you. But this one I really love. I dove really hard into this book. But anyways, the couple is taking care of this child in the hospital, and she's getting ready to go through like the foster care system. And so they are worried about that. They want to start a family, so they offer to adopt this child. And this child has some very sinister motives, and like, it's really hard to describe, because especially since it's been so long since I've read this one, but it is so good. It's probably the best one that Lucinda Berry has written, in my opinion, so I would definitely check this one out. So with this one, obviously you have a bright pink balloon, but you have this hand holding or gripping the balloon. I am actually going to compare with the hand to a book that I've never read before, but it is on my radar, and it is Tell Me the Truth by Kirsten Moglen. Moglen? I'm so self-conscious on like how to say her name now because I was just told that I've been saying her name wrong this whole time. But obviously we have a woman holding a wine glass. This is a book that I have not read before. I think it's about a woman who finds out that her husband is cheating on her. And so instead of like, you know, confronting the husband or anything, I think she gets a job with the woman, that the mistress. And then I think she finds out even more secrets than she was prepared for. So this is on my radar. I don't really have much details, but I do plan on reading this one. So with this one, she's obviously holding a wine glass. So I'm going to compare it to another Kirsten Moglen book. This is The Reunion. It has a broken wine glass here. So this one I have read. I really enjoyed it. It's not my favorite by her, but this one follows a woman who is returning to her high school reunion where something happened back then and then all the secrets get revealed. It's kind of an interesting read. I really enjoyed this one. The ending was a little bit far-fetched for me, but I really did enjoy this one. So that is where I'm ending for the day. So obviously if you would like to tag yourself, I'm going to tag a few creators in the description, so make sure you check to see if you've been tagged or not. But if you want to tag yourself, or if you are participating, if you've been tagged by me, you can definitely start off with this one or just start your own chain. My like tip for this one is there is broken glass right here, so that's where I would personally start off with, but you do however you want to do it. All right guys, that is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope to see more people like participating in this one because I really like this tag. I think it's a very interesting take. So make sure you tag yourself or check the description to see if you've been tagged. I would love to see all of your connections with your books. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe so you don't miss out on more bookish videos. It really does help out my channel, and I will see you guys in the very next video. Bye!